Africa, your first in housing news.
A warm welcome and thank you for joining us on Housing TV News at the top of the hour, coming to you from our studio in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Neemana Bagudu. Our top stories. President Tinubu approves deployment of 11 permanent secretaries. Nigerians 2025 budget passes second reading at the Senate. House of Representatives to present 704.91 million naira to President Tinubu. FCTA demolishes unauthorized parks in Abuja. On the foreign scene, Putin ready to talk Ukraine deal with Donald Trump. We begin with national matters. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the redeployment of federal permanent secretaries. The Director, Information and Public Relations Officer of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, Eno Olutu, stated this in a statement. The schedule indicating the present and approved postings showed that Gabriel Aduda was posted as the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Women Affairs to Ministry of Defense. Olumuyiwa Enitan Abel was moved from Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction to Ministry of Education. Temitope Peter Fashidemu, Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, was moved to State House, and Shuaib Mohammed Lamido Belguri from Ministry of Regional Development was moved to Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. Others are Marcus Olani Ogumbiyi, redeployed from Ministry of Housing and Urban Development to Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Adebiyi Olusisen Olufunsho, State House to Ministry of Works. Ibrahim Abubakar Kana, Ministry of Defense to Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development, and Yakubu Adam Kofarmata, Ministry of Works to Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. The statement added that the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, D.D. Esther Wilson Jack, has also directed that all handing and taking over processes are to be completed on or before 31st December 2024. In the spirit of the Yuletide season, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Oluremi Tinubu, was in Kaduna on Thursday as she distributes food items and other basic necessities to the Christians Northern Nigerian Political Forum ahead of the Christmas and New Year celebrations. This, she said, complements the efforts of Mr. President Bola Tinubu in the renewed hope agenda for Nigerians.
We came in here with gifts because it's the Yuletide season, where we know and taught about the sacrificial love of Christ. I told my staff, I said, when you give to people and it doesn't hurt you, you have not given. You will see, I'm glad that I'm the first woman in Nigeria donating billion. The men are the one always donating billion. And today, for the Christian Northern Group, because before I came, somebody donated a vehicle to us. And it's petrol and CNG powered. And guess what? We are going to give the association 4 buses. I'm sure.
While appreciating the gesture, Governor Obasani on his part says the renewed hope agenda means well for all, as the state and federal government is doing their best to provide good governance for the populace.
This event is also an affirmation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's commitment to alleviating the pains of Nigerians. Our dear President and leader has initiated many social intervention programs aimed at bringing support to the weak, poor, and vulnerable in Nigeria. He is a disciplined president. He hears the cries of his people and takes measures to lessen their pains. He is taking steps to address our economic challenges.
We from the Nigerian Governors Forum, we are indeed very appreciative of the wonderful work Madam First Lady is doing. We acknowledge with commitment the economic realities of our time and the consequences of the reform policies of the Renewed Hope agenda, which we all signed into for a better Nigeria.
In another development, the federal government on Thursday flagged off the Greater Dutse water supply project worth 59.4 billion naira at Siltilmawa village in Rinjim local government area of Jigawa State. The project, when completed, will provide adequate and clean water to residents of Dutse, the state capital. The project, which was conceived 24 years ago, is now being taken up by the present administration of President Bola Tinubu, who has funded it to provide basic necessities to the people of Jigawa State. Speaking at the project site, the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitization, Professor Joseph Osivi, said the project will be completed within 24 months and will provide 10 million liters of water to residents of the area. The Nigerian Labour Congress on Thursday kicked against the alleged exclusion of labour unions in the formulation of the new tax policy by the federal government, urging the National Assembly to halt deliberation on the proposed legislation until wilder consultations were made on critical aspects. This was made known in a communique issued after its National Executive Council meeting held in Owerri, Imo State, and signed by the NLC President Joe Ajaero and General Secretary Emmanuel Ugwaja. It said that workers who are one of the critical stakeholders of any tax regime were not consulted by the initiators of the new tax reform bills, describing the said exclusion as unacceptable and an undermining the principles of tax justice. NLC also described as disturbing a report that Nigerians paid a staggering 2.23 trillion naira in ransom to kidnappers this year alone, experiencing concerns over what it described as worsening insecurity in the country. In Edo State, the immediate past administration of Governor Godwin Obaseki is said to have left a contractual debt burden of about 200 billion naira, accruing majorly from commitments to contractors who were only given mobilization fees. This disclosure was made in a press conference by the chairman of the Assets Verification Committee, Ernest Umahike, recently set up by Governor Monday Okpebolo to look into some activities of the Godwin Obaseki-led administration. Now to the Senate, where the House has passed for a second reading the 2025 appropriation bill of 49.7 trillion naira presented before the joint session of the National Assembly by President Bola Tinubu. Leading the debate on the general principles of the 2025 appropriation bill during the plenary on Thursday, the Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele announced that the bill is deemed to have been read for the first time by the presentation before the joint session of the National Assembly, hence the commencement of the general debate.
2025 budget has seen a significant increase of 74.18%. reaching 49.7 trillion in nominal terms, signaling a bold fiscal strategy aimed at addressing persistent infrastructure gaps and development challenges.
Majority of the senators who made contributions to the debate commended President Tinubu for the budget, saying it was indeed a budget of restoration.
The focus of the budget on national security and defense is commendable. The focus on investing in people, investing in education, investing in health care and infrastructure is highly commendable. But I would like to draw attention before I sit to the fact that there is clear omission, not really an omission, maybe because we have not passed the South-South Development Commission bill. But I just want us to draw attention to the fact that whereas funding has been provided from all other development commissions, zonal development commissions, that of the South-South, maybe because it has not been assented to law, We must commend our armed forces, but we must continue to demand for better and improved performance. And with this kind of funding, I think what we need to do is to keep our eyes on the ball. That is to say that we ask for accountability. We insist on transparency.
Not keep ourselves peacefully. I don't see how we can even do anything in Nigeria. In putting defense and security as a top priority, it means we will do a lot to go back to agriculture. But once we go to agriculture, I would like to see where this budget will address some issue and put stimulus into banks like Bank of Agriculture, the Bank of Industry, so that we can put stimulus back to the economy.
They called for full implementation of the budget by the executive when approved.
The future of budget is just not enough. That is written to be able to send a clear message. The clear message is all of us meet our people, our constituents, are their life being worse off last year than this year. It is important that the president pays a lot of attention to security. One of the cardinal things that he has mentioned that endeared my mind to the budget is the issue of security. I think without security, we can no longer do anything feasible. We can no longer make progress. This budget has come with a lot of hopes, and I hope the National Assembly, as it is, should be able to make sure that the performance of the budget of 2025 performs much better. To say that my experience has taught me that throwing money at people